Hello once again, dear viewers. You're watching ERi-TV. Welcome to our news broadcast. First, a quick look at the headlines tonight. Inamasu Award to Outstanding Students. Meeting to enhance livelihoods of women or disabled veterans. UN chief urges EU to avoid double standards over Gaza and Ukraine. Australia-Britain signed defense cooperation agreement. In our domestic news, the National Union of Eritrean Youth and Students branch in the southern region has provided Inamasu Award to outstanding students who achieved remarkable scores in the 2022-2023 8th grade national examination. During the ceremony held on 21 March in Mandafara, 623 outstanding students were honored, with 53% of them being girls. Among these, Orota School in Mandafara subzone was singled out as an outstanding school among schools in the Mandafara subzone, emphasizing the enhancement of educational and vocational capacities among the youth as a primary goal of the union. Mr. Gurmai Gabru, the head of the union branch in the region, underscored that the program will be sustained through collaboration with the Ministry of Education. Mr. Heptiski Kidana, the head of the education office in the region, extended congratulations to the awardee students, their parents and teachers. He also urged the students to work hard in their secondary school education and strive to become competitive students. Acknowledging the dedication of improving the teaching-learning process, Mr. Hiskias Ubet, the administrator of Mandafara subzone, affirmed the subzonal administration's readiness to work alongside the union in organizing such programs. The event was enriched by cultural performances, adding vibrancy to the celebration. Mr. Shumwala Waldegergish, the head of the National Association of Eritrean War Disabled Veterans branch in the Ansabar region, has urged women war disabled veterans to join the association to benefit from its resources. During the meeting held on 20 March in Karan, Mr. Shumwala emphasized the association's commitment and the efforts to uplift the livelihoods of women war disabled veterans, taking into account their ages and socio-economic backgrounds. Mr. Takhastazarai, the head of the Ministry of Labour and Social Welfare branch in the region, underscored the importance of identifying war-disabled veterans with severe cases. He emphasized that the responsibility of supporting war-disabled veterans extends beyond the government, urging wider public participation in this endeavour. Participants engaged in extensive discussions during the meeting and proposed various recommendations, including efforts to transfer the history of the struggle for independence to the young generation and the creation of employment opportunities for war-disabled veterans, among others. The meeting served as a platform for collaboration and strategizing to improve the lives of women war-disabled veterans, reflecting a shared commitment to their well-being and empowerment. The observance of World Cerebral Palsy Day on 21 March in Barantu garnered national attention under the theme "And for Backward Outlook." The event was characterized by cultural and artistic performances that highlighted the significance of the day, within a particular focus on citizens with intellectual and developmental disabilities, advocating for an end to discriminatory attitudes. Addressing the imperative for specialized care for citizens with intellectual and developmental disabilities, Mr. Franco Kubaba, Director General of Social Service in the Gash-Barka region, emphasized ongoing efforts in the region to facilitate the improvement and involvement of citizens with disabilities in associations and ensuring their access to available resources. Mr. Takhlazgi Takhla Mariam, head of the National Association of Intellectual and Developmental Disability branch in the region, called for concrete actions for both the public and government institutions to safeguard the rights of disabled citizens. He emphasized the importance of increasing awareness and active participation to eradicate backward attitudes towards citizens with disabilities. The commemoration of World Cerebral Policy Day served as a platform to advocate for inclusivity and equal opportunities for all members of society, reaffirming the commitment to foster a more inclusive and supportive environment for citizens with disabilities. Eritrean athlete Samson Amare won gold medal at the All-African Games half marathon competition that was held today, 22 March, in Accra, Ghana. Athlete Samson finished the 21-kilometer race in 1 hour, 5 minutes and 4 seconds, while athletes from Ghana and Zimbabwe stood second and third, respectively. At the women's category of half marathon competition, Eritrean athlete Rigbe Haile finished 8th. Eritrea is taking part in 5 types of sports at the All-Africa Games that is being conducted for the 13th time. That was our domestic news. Please stay tuned now for the international news right after the short break. European Union leaders were urged today to show the same respect for international law in Gaza as they aim to uphold in Ukraine, as hundreds of thousands of Palestinians face dire food shortages and possible famine. At an EU summit in Brussels, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres appealed to the leaders to remain strong and united in their respect of standards enshrined in the United Nations Charter and international law. A UN food agency has warned that famine is imminent in northern Gaza. Israel, meanwhile, appears determined to launch a ground offensive in the southern city of Rafah, where many people have sought refuge from the fighting. The 27-nation EU has long been deeply divided in its approach to Israel and the Palestinians, and the devastating Hamas attack on southern Israel on October 7 laid bare those differences. But as the death toll in Gaza mounts to nearly 32,000 people, more countries are supporting calls for a ceasefire. In contrast, almost the entire bloc sees the 2-year-long war in Ukraine as an existential threat. They have poured billions of euros into supporting the country by providing it with arms and ammunition and helping to prop up its war-ravaged economy. In the summit conclusion, the leaders lamented the unprecedented loss of civilian lives and the critical humanitarian situation. The European Council calls for an immediate humanitarian pause leading to a sustainable ceasefire. Australia and Britain have signed a new defence and security agreement that makes it easier for their defence forces to operate together in each other's countries. The treaty signed today requires the two nations to consult each other if they come under threat. The enhanced cooperation between the countries reflects a shift from a post-war world to a pre-war world. Australian Defence Minister Richard Marles said, aiding that the treaty supplements a strategic dimension to one of Australia's oldest partnerships, noting that Britain had a much bigger presence in the Indo-Pacific region than it has in a long time, and would send a carrier strike group to the region next year. Marles said Britain would contribute to a submarine rational force in Australia, and that the treaty would strengthen the ability of the two militaries to work together. Under AUKUS, Australia will buy several U.S. Virginia-class submarines in the next decade and build a new AUKUS nuclear power submarine at Adelaide shipyard by 2040. Australia is boosting defence interoperability and military exercises with the United States and regional partners after a defence review last year said China was undertaking the largest military buildup of any country since the end of the World War II. Please stay tuned now for a recap of tonight's headlines. Inamasu Award to outstanding students. meeting to enhance livelihoods of women war disabled veterans. UN chief urges EU to avoid double standards over Gaza and Ukraine. Australia, Britain signed defence cooperation agreement. And that was ours for tonight, dear viewers. It is good night from us.